Hey, good morning from McKenzie Mountain right here in Republic, Washington. It is a beautiful Thursday morning, March the 26th today. I'm up and out a little bit late today, not because I got up late or anything like that, but I've been actually started working on a book, got excited about it. And so I just spent some time with it this morning. Going to call it, at least the working title right now, The Wind Blows at Major Creek. Major Creek is a real waterway here in Washington State. It flows out of the Klickitat County down into the Columbia River. It's a really small body of water, really, but at the mouth of Major Creek, what's now called Major Creek. It's called Major Creek because of its relationship with Lewis and Clark. And at the mouth of Major Creek used to be an Indian village, Indian encampment. And Lewis and Clark actually spent the night there with the Indians on their journey. It's recorded in their journal, the Lewis and Clark journal. And when I was growing up, my grandparents owned that piece of property that Major Creek flowed through. They had an alfalfa farm. I don't know, probably 125 acres or something like that. That Grandpa farmed. He worked at the mill. Grandpa and Grandma moved originally to Lyle, Washington, to run a store there, the Lyle Mercantile. And then at some point, they sold that store. Grandpa went to work at the mill. Grandma went to work at the meat market and the grocery store at White Salmon. Grandpa was working at the mill in Bingen, and then they farmed that property for alfalfa. Had two houses on it and some barns and things, and used to have their water was a gravity feed water system, and we would go swimming in the big tank that their water was kept in. And it might have been the tank was for irrigation and not for the house. I'm not really sure about that anymore, but they had this big waterway system up there, or tank that we would swim in, but I think it ran the irrigation. I'm sure it ran the irrigation and maybe the house too. And there at Major Creek, we would go down and look for arrowheads. Sometimes there was a structure built on the side of one of the hills that the Indians had built. It was a lookout. They had it as a watchtower, a lookout, so they could watch what was coming up and down the river. And anyway, so this morning I started working on it. My grandpa and grandma's place. Grandpa eventually sold the property to the state with an agreement that he and grandma could live on it the rest of their lives. And I'm not sold it. They did sell it, but it might have been more of like the government insisted sort of a situation. Anyway, grandpa passed away in the 1990s. Grandma passed away in 2007. And when grandma passed away, the state came in and they demolished every memory of grandpa and grandma. All of the trees are gone, the houses, the buildings, and everything are gone. They removed everything and anything that was not natural, plant life and all of those sorts of things, so that it would go back to nature. At this point, the only thing that can remind a person, or that is a marker that they had ever lived there, is that there's a walking trail, a nature trail up through there, and there's a park bench with my grandpa's name on it. It's the only, and in fact, I haven't been there for a lot of years, so I'm not sure it's even still there. But it was shortly after Grandpa died. Anyway, so I started working on a fictional book on Major Creek, where the wind blows at Major Creek. If you know anything about the Columbia River, around Hood River and Lyles and the Dalles, the wind blows there some kind of fierce. And they do a lot of, these days, they do a lot of wind sailing, wind surfing there, and parasailing over the Columbia River. And so I started working on a fictional book on just covering the Indians, the Native Americans, history there, and then to when the Lewis and Clark came, and then the introduction of the railroads, and then my grandparents got the property, I think, in the 1950s. And it is a fictional book. I do these historical fictions based on things that I know to be true, but in order to make them so that they're so that I can write them without someone challenging my history, is I write them to be fiction on purpose, and they are fictional, with these stories with elements of truth that I know to be fact. And I'm writing them about different pastors that I've known, their histories and so forth, and their lives. And so now I started working on one on Major Creek and my grandpa and grandma's property. And so I got excited about that. So it made me a little bit later getting things done. So it's about 11 o'clock outside right now, and very nice. I think, well, it's 37 degrees is all my watch says, 37 degrees. It was 20 when I woke up this morning. And so things have chilled down, or the temperature still is chilled, but it's very nice with this blue skies and the weather like it is right now. So going to take care today. My wife will be tutoring a young man that she's been working with in the church tonight, and looking forward to that. And so I'm going to get on with things this morning. The Lord bless you and keep you and make his face to shine upon you, be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.